Hello and welcome to another video where I show you my whole Overdrive and Boost Pedal collection. So let's start with the most obvious one and the most famous, I think. It's not an Ibanez Tube Screamer, but it's a Maxon Overdrive OD808. It's based on the Tube Screamer 808. It's basically built by the guys who built the original Tube Screamer. And this one is fairly beaten up. It's also missing a potty here. But, well, yeah, I have it in the collection and I use it as a Tube Screamer reference. For sound, I don't use it this much. I think I haven't used it in quite a while, apart from making videos, because I don't really like the particular sound. It sounds too generic in my opinion. However, when I do use it, I like the boost method, which means overdrive at 0, balance respective volume at full, and tone to taste. I tend to set tone somewhere between 12 and 3 o'clock. Starting with my Boss Overdrives, my most favorite, it's the Boss Super Overdrive SD1. This one is actually really similar to a Tube Screamer, however it's way cheaper and in my opinion it sounds better. I use it often whenever I want to have a boosted distorted amp, and I use it the same way as I do the Maxon with level actually at full, drive at 0 or 9 o'clock, up to 9 o'clock, and tone somewhere between 12 and 3 o'clock. Now I know that Mark Tremonti uses his Tube Screamers in a different way. I think he uses it with tone at 0, drive at full, and volume to taste. And I've tried it out. I might do a video on it, but it didn't give me much, so I don't use it. Well, I use this really often, be it for recordings or whatever, whenever I want to have a generic metal tone that's not generic. Next up, and my newest buy, is the Boss Turbo Overdrive. This one I don't use because it has a massive problem and the output is way too low. I thought mine was malfunctioned, but I found out that it's not. There is actually a revision, the OD2R or 2X, something like that, which has way more output. Therefore, I don't use it and I can't recommend it, really. It's just here for being here. Maybe I sell it. And I also got the Boss Overdrive Distortion, the OS2. Now this one is kind of a hybrid pedal because it has overdrive in it as well as distortion, and you can blend between an overdrive sound and a distortion sound, which I really like because then I can get some really unique sounds when using it as a boost pedal. Well, those are actually my most favorite settings. It's a level full, drive at 9 o'clock, tone a bit more than 12, so 1 o'clock. And the color, I mostly use the overdrive because the distortion itself sounds rather funny. But I add a slightly bit of distortion flavor to make the sound basically unique and more crushing, more metal. These days I use it, well, whenever I think my SD1 isn't enough, I use the OS2 basically. So those pedals I all use when I want to have a rather vintage or old school sound. However, when I want to have a modern sound, I use the Aris Savage Drive. And this is one of the earlier iterations. I don't know if it's version 2, version 1, whatever. I basically use it whenever I want to have a modern metal sound, be it as a blend or as a standalone tone. My settings well, dirt is distortion, volume is volume. The funny thing is bite and tight, and I like to use them facing at each other, which means bite at 3 o'clock and tight at 9 o'clock. I think this really gives me the modern sound that I want to have, although I could go more extreme, but I don't do this. Yes, this pedal I use occasionally while recording. Next up, and nope, this is not cheating, is my Digitech Tube distortion. It says distortion, but it's a lie, it's an overdrive. And this one I bought because Jeff Loomis of Nevermore used one. And I'm a huge Jeff Loomis fan, especially from his sound, The Dead Heart in a Dead World and This Godless Endeavor, so I thought I had to have it. Well, turns out I don't play as good as Loomis when I play it through this pedal, but it makes fun. So I really like the clicking on this pedal. The knobs don't float, they kind of click. Don't know if you can see it. And I use it whenever I want to have modern sound and the Savage Drive. I don't want to use the Savage Drive, or the Savage Drive doesn't do it for me. I tend to set volume at 4. I tend to reduce the bass and crank the treble, although not this much. I also prefer the modified setting because it gives me more gain, it's more compressed, and most of the time this is more appropriate, but I can also use the classic sound. Lots of you guys still think this sounds too digital, and well, frankly, I don't think it sounds digital, but it might be true. However, I really like it, and I use it equally well as the Savage Drive. So we're coming now to my two most used and most favorite pedals. That is the Amber Spyglass by Lilam Audio. This is an old Amber Spyglass. Actually, it's a prototype, I think. Daniel sent it to me and I loved it, and I said, well, dude, I'm sorry, I can't send it back. And he was okay with it. This is, it doesn't have a drive. It's more or less a boost with a 4-band EQ. And I use this as for my solo sound or for my lead tones. I dial in some high mids, some treble, I reduce some bass and low mids, add a huge amount of volume, and I really like it. Most of the time it's not my standalone sound. I blend it with a bit more beefier tone, because when dialing back all this bass and low mids, it tends to get harsh, but I just really like it. A bonus trick here, sometimes I use it as an EQ pedal in my FX loop, and it does the job equally well. And I can't wait to try out the Amber Spyglass, the newest iteration after the relaunch. And last not least, the KMA Audio Machines Logan. This thing does it all, basically. I use this for rhythm sounds, kind of way I use Tube Screamer, which means drive at 0 or 9 o'clock, level full, and dialing back the lows and dialing in some highs. Well, actually more or less like the Digitech. And this works good for both rhythm sounds and lead sounds. However, when I want to have a bit different flavor, I activate the mids, which gives me this added mid frequency where I can cut or boost the mids, and I can dial it, so it's parametric. I can also say if I want the mids pre or post gain. I'm not sure yet, but I think I highly prefer one over the other, but I'm not sure which one. Since it's now set on pre, I think I like it more pre. And this is really versatile. I can get actually a chainsaw sound out of it, or I can get all kinds of other different modern flavors, and I use it most of the time as a lead pedal. So that's my collection. It's rather small, but that's due to the fact that I mostly use distortion pedals as my overdrive pedals. So I just have a few, basically the basic stuff. And well, I didn't want to include all those distortion pedals because, well, they are distortion pedals. Anyways, there are still some overdrive or boost pedals I really want to try out or really want to buy. First and foremost, the Pepas pedals Dirty Tree. I really have to buy one of those. And Lone Wolf Audio makes the Burning Spirit. I still have to get one of those. I hope it will be soon. And well, apart from that, I'm not sure if I'm missing any of the big ones. But what do you think? Which is your favorite overdrive or boost pedal of all time? And which pedals do you think are still missing in my collection? Leave a comment down below in the comment section. If you want to support this channel, check out the links in the description. And with this said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my Instagram account. May the force be with you and have a nice day.